Welcome into the episode of Patrick Jones Baseball. All right, this week we got a special treat. We have Curtis Granderson on the podcast, former 16-year MLB veteran. Phenomenal stuff. He does a great job breaking down what worked for him as a hitter, his approach at the plate, routines, what he learned the most from coaches over the years. So I think you're going to love it. Curtis does a great job also just being an ambassador for the game. I appreciate him for coming on and also just giving back the way he has over the years. I'm actually going to put a link to his Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy. So you can check that out. They're doing some amazing stuff. They've already donated in the first quarter of this year. They're giving away over $20,000 of baseball equipment to the Chicago public schools that they're partnered with. So it's phenomenal stuff. I know you're going to love this episode. Thanks again for listening or watching. And here we go with Curtis Granderson. We now welcome on the podcast, Curtis Granderson. Curtis, thanks for coming on today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So I first off, anytime I get a chance to talk to someone who played in the big leagues, not just played in the big leagues, but played in the big leagues into their 30s, I've always found that there's just a different perspective on the game and in life, and there's wisdom there, and I've been able to have on some really great guests from guys who played a long time, George Foster, someone Michael Kadire, guys like that. But my first question to you, based upon that, is just looking back on your career. What did the best coaches that you had do that helped you the most? Because you had a lot of coaches, but like, what did the best ones do that you felt like benefited you the most?
I was very fortunate. I had some amazing coaches, Hall of Fame coaches, soon to be Hall of Fame coaches. But one of the biggest things from the big leagues and then working back, but Jim Leland, with the Detroit Tigers, one of the best things I thought with him, especially as a young player, and you're entering a clubhouse where players have a lot more money than you, a lot more time than you, a lot more accolades than you. And the assumption is, as a new first and or second year player, you just kind of follow in line. I get a little bit more in trouble than they do. They get a little more leeway. And Jim Leland said, nope. He goes, I don't care if you've been here one day, you've been here, 10 years, you make the most money, you make the least amount of money. I'm going to treat you all the same. And I demand the same respect and return. And from that point, it set the tone. And it was so unique to see it because, I had Pudge Rodriguez on there, future Hall of Famer. Kenny Rogers was in his 40s. Dimitri Young, Maglio Ordonez. So all these players that were superstars in their own right. And the fact that he would do that and would also follow up with it. So there'd be times where, you're about to get yelled at. He'd call a team meeting and he'd come and he'd lay into all of us. And you'd have guys sitting on the side go, I didn't even play. Why am I getting yelled at? But it was that level of treating everyone the same. No one is more important than the team. And we all win together. We all lose together. We need to push each other. And I truly respected that from him. And I was so happy and fortunate to have had that so early in my career.
It's interesting that you answer the question that way. It's interesting because a lot of guys I feel like would immediately go to maybe some cue or some type of approach tip or something like that. But it's interesting that you gave a completely different thought process than that, which I find fascinating. You had some great teammates over the years. I'm sure you guys talked a lot about hitting, a lot about just everything. Was there anything that you learned from a teammate or anything specific that you felt like really helped you, everything click from a hitting standpoint, or was it trial and error?
It was a mix. I changed my style. Or my stance, I should say, a lot, all the way from college to getting drafted in the minor leagues and even throughout the course of my big league career. For whatever it was, I was a feel guy. And if things felt a little off, I'd have to switch it up. And then I'm okay, there it is. I think I got it. And I'd stay with that as long as I could. But the idea and the approach was, one, still be ready to hit, be on time, put your A swing on it. And then after that, the rest is out of your control. That I learned from Kevin Long, hitting coach I had with the Yankees and the Mets. And that was something I try to give to everybody. Like, I don't care how you start. I don't care where you hold your hands. I don't care what stance you're in. You have to be ready to hit. And it's amazing how many players go up and go, okay, I just want to take a pitch. I want to see a pitch. Now, there's a difference between being ready to take the pitch versus, okay, I'm going to see a pitch. That might be the best pitch you see all day. So you still need to be ready or a player that gets asked to pinch hit and they get shocked and they're surprised and they're scrambling, trying to find their helmet and their batting gloves, and they run up there and they're not ready to hit. So that's that part. And no matter how long this game has changed, and I don't think it's going to change anytime moving forward, we still got to swing at strikes. Like, it's a lot easier to hit the ball over the plate than it is to hit the ball that's up, down, in, out, all that stuff. And if we've been practicing and been putting all this work in, put our A swing on it and let that do what it's supposed to do. So Kevin Long was on that side of it. And then from a teammate standpoint, I didn't play with him much, but he refocused my attention on the field. And that was Matt Stairs. Matt Stairs was with us briefly, and he talked about, and I see a lot of young players still do this to the day. When you think pull, a lot of people think pull down the line. Or if they think opposite field, they think opposite field down the line. He said, no. He goes, when I think pull, I want you to think as a left-handed hitter over the second baseman. When you think opposite field, I want you to think over the shortstop. Now you have some room for error. And I hadn't had anybody break it down that way. Every time I'd go up there, like, pull the ball, I'm like, I'm aiming for that foul pole. I'm not going to miss. It's going over that way, so you can't say I messed up. But when you start to move your sights a little bit, it allows you not to cheat. It allows you to recover. It allows you to make a mistake in the big part of the field, which is where you want to be. So those were two big ones over the course of my career that helped out a lot.
I remember that video you did with MLB Network with the tee. I think when you were with the Mets and you talked about how moving around the tee. Was that something that were you a big tee guy? Because there's some organizations now even that they don't allow the players in the minor leagues to use the tee at all. Like they've completely banned it. I always thought that there was a little bit of even a meditation, even you could possibly say, to just doing tee work by yourself. But was the tee a part of your routine? Is it overrated or underrated?
Well, I hated the tee growing up,
Okay.
partly because we had that big plastic yellow hard tee. And I felt like no matter what I did, I was hitting that plastic tee and it hurt my hands and the ball would fall all over the place. And the second part with that video, if you remember, a lot of people will set the tee up in one spot. You'll hit, and then it'll be my turn to hit, and I won't adjust the tee. And I get in my spot, and the ball might be too close to me or too far in front, and it's just not working. Well, the tee is mobile. You can move it around, you can raise it up, you can raise it down, move it in and out, and people forget that. So once it sounds crazy, I figured that piece out, I started to really enjoy it. I knew where I wanted to get to contact. I knew where I wanted to place the ball, if I wanted it to be away, if I wanted it to be in, if I wanted it to be up, down. Again, all in the strike zone. And for me, to hit the ball that's not moving, you got to do a lot of things correct, and you can't get away and cheat on a lot of that stuff. So if I can't hit the ball that's not moving, it's going to be even more challenging for me to hit the ball that is moving. And I will say, I don't think there is a right or wrong drill of hitting. Like I said, I hated the tee early in my career. I loved it later in my career. I liked batting practice early in my career. I hated batting practice late in my career. I wouldn't hit on the field later in my career. I just wanted short toss. I wanted it close. I wanted it to be controlled. And I didn't want to have all the visual of the field behind me, because now I'm trying to do things that are out of my scope. Like, okay, you hit before me and just hit a ball into the second deck. Let me see if I can hit a ball into the second deck. That's not what I did. I was trying to get balls and square it up, and then I got rewarded accordingly. So I think for each hitter, you have to kind of understand what works for you. If you're in an organization and there's certain things you have to do or there's things you can't do, okay, I still got to do it because that's my boss. I got to listen to them, but I still got to take what works for me and find ways to do it, whether that's getting in the cage earlier, getting in there afterwards, talking about it, taking more swings, taking less swings to ultimately find out what works for you. Another thing I hated the machine for fastballs, but I loved breaking balls off the machine. Some people love the fastball machine. You couldn't pay me enough to go in there off the fastball machine. I hate that thing. I could not figure it out. I did not like that thing at all.
That's great stuff. So if you could go back again, would that be the main thing? Would be even as a younger version of yourself, Curtis Granderson gets called up to the big leagues, is would you do the same thing you wouldn't hit on the field if you could go back again? Like, do you feel like that hurt you more times than not? Or was it something that you kind of had to work I don't want to say how else to say it. Sometimes I say like hitters have to work dumb before they can work smart because how else do you know how to work smart?
I think the issue for me, in addition to the seeing all the space and hitting out there, is BP throwing. The velocity is not near where you want it to be on the game side. And you're going to typically face more right-handed hitters. So a lot of my BP throwers were right-handed BP throwers. So not only are they throwing from the right side, which is further away from me as a left-hander, it's also coming in slower. So it was real easy for me to go out and work out in front, which is not where I wanted to work. I wanted to let the ball get closer to me. So I preferred left-handed BP throwing
Mm.
because it's on that side, the ball's closer to me. So that way I have to work a little bit more to where I need to be to stay tighter, stay connected, let the ball get closer to me to do what I wanted. So if I could go back in a perfect world, I would still do my tee. I would do some soft toss. I loved short toss, and then I would take left-handed BP only. Those are the thing, and breaking balls off the machine. That would be the crux of my routine. And occasionally I would take some of those drills onto the field so
Mm.
I can see what's going on, but not in a full-on team BP, just because there's so much happening out there on the field. Ground balls are being hit, players are running, kids are on the field, fans want balls. There's a lot happening on there when you're trying to just lock in your swing. And I can lock in my swing at 2 o'clock, and I don't have to do it at 5 o'clock, and I can be ready when the game comes at 7 o'clock.
How from this is something that is I don't think it's impossible to really know this unless you played in the big leagues at all, but how do you mentally stay sane throughout the course of a 162 game season with all the failure, with knowing you could be up and down and cut and all these different things and the best pitchers in the world and just so many different things off the field, personal issues. How did you have a routine? Did you have what helped you? Or was it something that is just, hey, it came natural to you?
There were two things I think that helped, that I was unaware of, that would have as much impact as they did. And that was when I was in college at the University of Illinois, Chicago. My head coach there, Mike D, also had a sports performance person by the name of Gloria Balagay. So we started talking about thinking the process through and writing things down and what you want to focus on. But one of the biggest things, our head coach, he would have this piggy bank. And the piggy bank was in the shape of a toilet, and you put the money on the toilet and you flushed the toilet, it made the toilet sound, and the money went inside, and it was inside the piggy bank, and you laughed and you giggled and everything. He said, I want this toilet on the bench in the dugout. After you're at bat, after an inning, if you've hit a homer, if you struck out, I want you to come to that toilet and flush it. It's done. It is gone. So not only did it get you in the mindset of just resetting and turning the page, but it also made you laugh a little bit and get you ready for the next thing. And as I got to pro ball and started to see certain situations unfolding in front of me, like the first set of trade rumors for myself back when I was with the Detroit Tigers that did not happen, I said, hold on, I got to pause here. I'm getting worked up for things I have no control over. I have to focus on the stuff that I can. And that's one game at a time, making sure I'm ready, doing all the stuff that I can, one pitch, one inning, one team, all those things. If I get traded, great. If it rains tomorrow, great. I just have to focus on the stuff I can. There would be times where the forecast would be, it's going to be freezing, it's going to be raining. So mentally, you're already defeated. You haven't even made it to the ballpark yet. And you get there and the sun is out and it's shining and all of a sudden it's warm. It's not as cold as you thought, but mentally you've psyched yourself out. So it was all those different things that started in college. Control what I can control, reset it. If I hit 4 home runs today, tomorrow that team didn't care. If I struck out 4 times yesterday, that team didn't care. The great thing about baseball, like you mentioned, 162 games, there's a good chance you're going to be back out there again the next day with a chance to do something that has never been done before. And I remember talking to Anthony Rizzo before a game at Wrigley one time. He goes, you know why I love this game? He goes, you see stuff that never happens in this game. He says that to me before the game, and sure enough, my first at bat, I hit a ball to left center that bounces off of the fence at Wrigley Field. I had never seen it. I had never done it. They didn't know how to score it. I'm running around. We don't know. It ended up being a triple. People thought it was a homer. People thought I should be out. But sure enough, stuff like that happens that you just never know is going to happen in this game. And it's going to continue to keep happening. So as long as we focus on where we need to be, then we can be ready whenever challenges happen to come our way.
Great stuff. I love that type of mentality and approach to it. And so going back to your approach again at the plate, did you have a two strike approach?
You know, two strike was very interesting, and I struck out a lot over my career. I mean, the stats show it, it's part of it. You're going to strike out. When I talk to kids, I ask them, show of hands, how many of you have struck out before? And if you haven't, you are going to at some point in time. It's just part of the game. It's kind of stacked against you on that side. But I do think we get so worked up into two strikes more so than we do any other count. If it's 0-0, if it's 0-1, if it's 1-1, if it's 3-1, if it's 3-0, we have a certain mindset. And then we get to two strikes. We start to spread out. We choke up. We do this. All right, don't swing too far out the zone. Don't do this. We weren't thinking about all that other stuff on all the other at bats when we homered and we got the double and we got the triple and all that stuff. So I tried to blend, and it took me some time to be able to do it because there was so much focus. Don't strike out. We don't want you to strike out. You got to cut your strikeouts. And that's where, again, Coach D and Gloria, I had to flush it. I had to get that out of my mindset. I'm going to strike out. Plain and simple. I don't think anyone's gone through 162 games and not struck out. So it's going to happen. So now let me continue to try to just focus and still do all the things that Kevin Long taught me. Be ready to hit, put my A swing on it, and try to swing at balls over the plate. You'll be surprised at how many people hit homers with two strikes and hit bombs with two strikes, all because they're just continuing to try to do the exact same thing they've been doing. Not be overly aggressive, not be too passive, but try to stay in the same. If I still focus on strikes and I'm ready to hit, I give myself a chance. And that was one of the big things that took me some time to learn. But, when I finally was like, okay, I think I kind of got this. I definitely wish I would have had that understanding earlier in my career.
So it sounds to me that your two strike approach was kind of the same as just any other count. Is that right?
Tried my best to do it, and obviously there's a lot of things that go into it, especially when you're on the road and it's two strikes and they start pumping the music and they put the thing on the scoreboard and you got a runner in scoring position. You're like, let me just focus on what I need to. But it also goes back to the other situations too, hitting with runners in scoring position, runner on second with less than, with no outs, runner on third with the infield inner back. If we can make it as simple as possible, and I'm still looking to drive the baseball, I can do that in any count. But when I have all these other things and I add that to it, in addition to that pitcher on the mound with this great stuff as they have, and they're just getting better and better and better, it makes it challenging to do so. So the advice I would give to anybody that's kind of going through it, baseball, softball, once you get to two strikes, just stay tough, stay confident in yourself that, hey, I still have a chance. My at bat is not over now. Let me just continue to stay with something on the plate and be ready to hit. And I'll hopefully trust that I will recognize something off the plate. And I am going to strike out time, but I'm also going to get you a couple times too.
I love that. No, and I actually think that that type of mindset will help hitters strike out less because they're not chasing at pitches they would never swing at unless they were in two strikes. So I think that's great stuff. So kind of going back to your own upbringing and as a player, and because I think I work with a lot of high school players, and I watch a lot of high school baseball, travel baseball, things like that. And one of the things that I see is a lot of times parents, they're all, and they don't mean any ill will, but I think a lot of times they talk about their kids' statistics and they promote their kids' stats or things like that. And I think at a younger age, kids hear that and they immediately tag, "Oh, Dad's proud of me because I'm hitting 450 or something like that." And you can't control that. When you were growing up, was it the same thing with your parents? Did they emphasize anything different? Because I feel as if you have a really good perspective and have always had a good perspective on defining success and outcomes and things like that. Was that the case for them? Were you growing up, or did they emphasize something different? Like, how did you get to that place?
Both my parents taught And I think that has something to do with it, having so many different individuals in their classrooms and multiple classes throughout the day. You got to kind of talk and communicate to each one slightly differently. You can't do it all the same, can't get too high, can't get too low. But also, you are leading the class. So if I come in there and I'm high strung and I'm full of energy, I'm probably going to get a lot of energy back at me. But if I'm really laid back and I'm down in the dumps, they're going to give the same. So I think that helped shape their parenting style with me, especially when it came to sports. My parents would show up to as many things as they could, depending on how the scheduling worked out. And if they couldn't, they would let me know. And when they were there, I would know roughly where they were, but I never heard them much. I would never, see, oh, who just got kicked out? That's your mom and dad. It wasn't that. Um, so I saw that, and I'm so thankful for it because I had teammates from little league to high school to college to pro ball whose parents were the opposite. And I could see the stress in those moments that they were dealing with, whether it was arguing with an official, arguing with the parent, yelling at the kid, overly excited with the kid. My kid's going to make it. You have to, all this added pressure to what is still just a game. And when I signed up to play the multiple sports I played, did I have hopes, dreams, and aspirations of playing at the next level? Yes. Was that the reason we signed up? No. We signed up because my friends were there. This was something fun to do. I was watching those players on TV or on the video games. I said, I want to go do that. I want my own jersey. I want my number. I'm looking forward to the concession stand after the game. I'm looking forward to the ride. And you and I are in the same class, and you're on one team and I'm on the other team, and we've been talking trash all day, and we can finally settle it on the field tomorrow and then come back to school and now have some bragging rights. And I think that has been forgotten as we move with all the opportunities that are made available that may not have been there for the current parents when they were kids.
Mm.
You sense, I sense, and this is just my opinion from watching parents and hearing questions and going through it. If everything was made available to them at that age that is available now, they look at, okay, I would have had more opportunities. I would have made it. Now that my kids are in it, I don't want them to squander this opportunity. Look at this amazing piece of equipment. These fields are awesome. The technology is great. These tournaments are huge. Look at all the stats and metrics we got. We didn't have any of that. So now that they got, I want to make sure they can do it, and they forget their time is done. This is now your child's time. Let your child enjoy the moment. Your child might just be doing this just because they really enjoy doing it. They don't have any other hopes or aspirations to do it. I have a neighbor down the street of mine who played hockey his whole life. And all of a sudden he came to his dad. He said, Dad, I'm not going to the NHL. I'm quitting hockey. He said, what? You've been doing it for a long time. He goes, I want to work in the NFL. That's my goal and dream. I have an opportunity to do so. So I'm going to switch it up and do that. And it's like, I can't be mad at that. You're in these sports and in these opportunities to build camaraderie, learn how to fail, time management, discipline, how to work smart, ups and downs. And what comes from that, there's more than success in just becoming a pro at that sport. It opens up all these different things. If you remember back, I don't know, 15, 10 years ago, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They used to do these commercials, and they always highlighted hiring college student athletes. There's a reason why. They love the fact that they were determined, that they can stick to a schedule. They know how to fail. They know how to be strong and have grit. There's certain characteristics you get from being in sports that I think we forget that, hey, I may not become the professional athlete. It's hard. It's very hard to be a pro in whatever sport you go into, but I can be a pro in life, and I can put myself in a situation to take care of myself, all from the life skills that I pick up from this great sport. And I think if we remind ourselves of that, especially for the parents out there that may be listening to this, you can sit back and enjoy. Get your nachos, get your popcorn. If you got a little beverage that you want to sip on while you're enjoying, That's what it's supposed to be about. Your child is not going to get picked up on this one moment, and this one moment's not going to hurt them. So let's enjoy it and let's have fun with it.
Great stuff. Last thing I want to ask you about is your own personal recruiting journey. So, as a player, you obviously went to go on and play University of Illinois Chicago. By the way, the most impressive facilities I've seen in the Midwest. I live in Ohio, and I was blown away when I took the tour of that place. Unbelievable. But what was your own recruiting I mean, did you have multiple offers? Were you highly touted? Like, what was your own journey like?
Yeah, UIC, I argue we got the best view
Oh,
in all of baseball. You got the skyline of
it's
Chicago
incredible.
right there. And what's crazy is both the Cubs and the White Sox don't have that view, but we do at UIC. So we love it. It's amazing. And the recruiting process for me was unique because growing up in Chicago in the 90s, I had hoop dreams, like I said, like everyone else. But I also had realization like I was not going to play at the highest level, but I was holding out let's to see what might come. I had a couple D3 letters, some D2 letters, but all my Division 1 letters were coming in baseball. So my three biggest schools that were recruiting me were UIC, where I went, Illinois State, and Northern Illinois. And the one thing I really wanted was the opportunity to at least just walk on the basketball team. Hey, if I come to the tryout, walk on, and you tell me I'm not good enough, I'm happy. Goal accomplished. That's all I wanted. And Illinois State said, nope, you can't do it. I said, all right, well, I'm not coming here. I know I'm coming to play baseball, but I also want to do that too. Northern Illinois and UIC both were going to give me the opportunity to do that. And UIC, the head coach, Mike D, it was going to be his first year, which was when he was recruiting me. My first year would have been his second year. He set up a meeting with the then basketball coach, Jimmy Collins, got me to meet with him. He said, yeah, you're more than welcome to come try out for the team, walk on. I've seen you, this, that, and the other. I said, great. I'm in. In addition to, they gave me 60% baseball scholarship. So got to go where the money is. You know, you got to go, you got to date who likes you. So the fact that they gave me some money, that means that they liked me. So I really liked that opportunity. And I ended up signing at UIC. And as I started my first year there, I'm there obviously for baseball, so I'm going to participate in my baseball, do everything. And once the basketball season rolls around, I'm going to start practicing at the same time. So the first day of basketball, they have an open shootout. So I go from baseball practice straight to basketball practice, do a shoot around, intro, all that stuff. The next day is the open tryout / workout. That day in baseball practice, I break my thumb
Mm.
sliding in the second base, shortstop falls on me. I get up and thumb went back, and I have to go tell the basketball coach, hey, I broke my thumb, but thank you for the opportunity. And that was my college basketball career. And I'm so happy I had that opportunity. That's all I wanted was that opportunity. And I probably was not going to make the team. We had a point guard on our team that led the nation in assists in back-to-back years. Our shooting guard is the all-time leading scorer in our school's history. And our school went to the NCAA tournament 2 out of the 4 years I was in school. We had a good team. I was not going to be on that team. I was a better baseball player, and I loved baseball as much as I did basketball, but I wanted to do both. And so from that point, I said, all right, I'm here on my baseball scholarship. Let's see what happens, and we'll roll and go from there. And I continued to get better and better from my first year to my second year. I played college summer ball in the North Woods League, which really helped me out a lot just to realize that's what gave me a ton of confidence that it didn't matter what the name on the front of the jersey said. We're still trying to hit that ball. The bases are still 90 feet apart. The fields might be slightly different, but if I can hit the ball better than you, I don't care where you're from. And when I'm on the field with players from Ohio State and Baylor and UCLA and USC, and I'm like, they not much better than me. That did so much for me going into my junior year at UIC, where I played well and then ultimately got drafted. So it was a unique journey for me. But, one piece of advice for those listening, if you do want to play at the next level, and speaking of college, I assume and I hope your reasoning for wanting to be there is to have an opportunity to play. I wanted an opportunity to play basketball, so I had to go where they were going to give me an opportunity. That's part of why I went to UIC. I also wanted an opportunity to play baseball. So the better opportunity is going to be those that give you opportunity if you are blessed and fortunate enough to do it. 60% scholarship is more than 25% scholarship. Which one do you think I'm going to probably have more opportunities to play? So as I got that scholarship to UIC and signed, I played in every game as a UIC Flame except for one. And the only reason I didn't play in that game, Coach D goes, I'm going to give you the day off today. And then afterwards, this was my junior year. And afterwards, he goes, "You've played every game that you've been here, right?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Why didn't you say anything?" I go, "You're the coach. Whatever you want to do is what you do. So that's the only reason I missed that game is because he goes, "I'm going to give you the day off today." And that's it. But if you're out there, whether it's D2, NAIA, D1, JUCO, if they are showing interest in you, and especially if they want to provide some sort of assistance and scholarship, that has to move to the top of your list if you want to play. That would be my advice for any of the student athletes and the parents that are going through this recruitment process. I know a lot has changed, but hey, the one thing that still has not changed, you got to have the opportunity there for you to be able to play. And if I were going to come to UIC as an outfielder and they got 10 All-American outfielders, that may not be the best place for me to go, you
Mm.
know, but the fact that there were a lot of incoming first year students and transfers coming, I had a chance. And that's all I wanted was a chance. And I hope that for you, you just hope that you have a chance. And now it's up to you to make the most of it.
Great stuff. Well, first of all, I really appreciate you coming on today. Second of all, I want to make sure I commend you for, first of all, just being a great ambassador for the game. And I know we're connected through Chris, and I know you founded the Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy, and it's a 10-year anniversary. And what I love is a lot of times for anniversaries and stuff, you may be asking for donations or this or that. You guys are doing the opposite. You're actually giving away $20,000 to people who you're partnered with in the Chicago public schools that you serve. So I think it's awesome. I'm going to put the link to your guys' website in the show notes. But thanks again for being a great ambassador for our game, man. It's awesome, and I can't thank you enough.
No problem. Thanks for having me. This was great. And again, just being able to say thank you to those that helped me out along the way. I'm proud to be able to have gone to UIC, and Chicago Baseball Educational Academy is home at UIC. And we provide this opportunity for kids throughout the city of Chicago to play at one of the best facilities that they ever can get a chance to do so. And it's so unique because, my first time stepping on a college campus was through sport, going to a camp or a clinic or a recruitment. And for these kids, this might be their first time stepping on a college campus and just showing what's possible. Like, oh, wow, this is what college looks like. I like this. And it isn't about them going to UIC. It's just realizing that what's possible for them in the future. So it's been absolutely amazing the fact that we're celebrating 10 years and we have an opportunity in partnership with the Player Alliance that we receive some equipment and we can help out other groups and entities in the Chicagoland area to continue to further their programs and provide more opportunities for their players to continue to get better and better and just enjoy the game that's in front of them.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris, for coming on.
No problem. Thank you. Have a great one. Stay warm. I know you're in Ohio. I'm in Chicago. So let's enjoy this winter spring training. We'll be here soon, and we'll get things rolling and going from there.
Parents, are you tired of spending money going from showcase to camp, not even knowing if a coach is even looking for your son's position or even knows his name? One of the reasons that I started my college baseball recruiting service is to help guide families throughout the recruiting process so you're not having to waste money and time going from showcase or camp to camp. If you're interested in hearing more about how I can help your son, head to patrickjonesbaseball.com and fill out the form. That's patrickjonesbaseball.com, fill out the form right on the homepage, and I'll be in touch.